14 myths about online courses. We're going to get them out of sight, out of mind, coming up right now on the Rise to Top podcast. And welcome, my friends, to the Rise to Top podcast. It's your great and good friend, David Siteman Garland, a.k.a. DSG, back with another episode here. And, if you're new to the Rise to Top podcast, what we do here on the podcast, it's all about the world of online courses and creating your own dream business centered around online courses as well. So, today we're going to do something a little bit different. And if you're watching this during, let me just check the dates here really quickly, just to make sure. So for those of you that are watching this when this episode comes out, which is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2019, I've got some extra treats for you as well, as we're going to really be diving into these big myths about online courses and knocking them out. But if you don't know this, which you should already, if you're watching this now in April of 2019, is that we are in the midst of something really, really big right now, and that is the launch of the all-new Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0, which is our flagship program to show you everything you need to do to create a successful online course and dream business. And by the way, the link for that is createawesomeonlinecourses.com, where you can check out everything there. You can see success stories from students, you can see results, you can see a walkthrough and demo, you can see a special presentation, which leads me to today's podcast episode. So I've got this brand new presentation that you can check out at createawesomeonlinecourses.com. There's a link there that'll take you to the presentation. You don't have to opt in. You don't have to enter your email. None of that. You can just watch the presentation on demand. It's all set up there for you. You can even pause it and rewind and all that kind of cool stuff. And that's set up there. You can link to it. And the title of the presentation is how to turn your expertise and experience into a successful online course and dream business. And today on the podcast, I actually wanted to take a piece of this presentation because it's so important and talk about it a little bit even more in depth and some of the things that we talk about here during the podcast. And that is these myths about online courses. And what's interesting is, I've been working with people in the online course industry now, myself doing it since 2009, and teaching others since 2013. And what's interesting is that after 5,000 plus students and going through the program and helping people all over the world create successful courses and really create that dream business, whether it's quitting a job or whether it's redoing a business model to get away from one-on-one coaching and dollars for hours or whatever it might be, there's all these different success stories we have. But what's always interesting is that a lot of people are held back from creating their dream business with online courses. And there's a couple reasons for this, and it's not surprising. And this is not surprising, and it's nothing to feel bad about or anything like that at all. Because let me explain this. There's two reasons that people really get held back from creating a successful online course and moving forward with it and doing all the cool things that courses can help you do. But number one is that there's a lot of BS out there, right? There's a lot of people that haven't done it that try to teach it. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of general yuckiness out there. Unfortunately, this is true of every industry, but definitely in the online course world as well. So meaning there's a lot of misinformation from people that want to say, okay, here's how to create a course. And a lot of times this misinformation has to do with the fact of people making it seem like you just push a button and magic happens. Sell a course in 2 days, even if you have no following or audience, or make $1 million in 5 minutes with your online course. And guess what? Come on, that's BS. We know that, right? An online course, centering a business around an online course or online courses is a real business that's going to take time and effort with massive long-term upside. Massive long-term upside. And it's amazing business that you could build. And by the way, in the presentation, I talk about why it's a dream business. I've done some Facebook Lives on that as well. You can check those out. But the thing is that, a lot of times people sell this opportunity as something that, is just waving a magic wand. And that's not true. Right? It's not true. Like I saw something the other day. It was like, launch your course in 3 days, even if you've got no audience and no course and no idea what you're doing, and that's BS. That is not, anyone that tells you something like that, you should run away from, because guess what? Yes, this is an amazing business model. Guess what? Yes, it takes work. And the funny thing is, it takes a lot less capital. It takes a lot less time. It takes a lot less other things than a lot of other business models. But guess what? Of course, there's work involved in this, right? So there's a lot of BS out there that ends up drinking my iced coffee here, by the way. It's a iced coffee kind of morning. that holds people back. So there's a lot of misinformation out there, and that's not your fault. If you've seen that or if you've kind of been fancied by that, do not worry about that. That's not something to worry about. We're here to set you on the right track here today in this podcast episode, okay? The second thing is our own limiting beliefs. We all have these. We all have limiting beliefs right now about if you've not created a successful course, you've got some kind of limiting belief about it, something. Right? And that's really what we're going to jump into today is these myths, these things that people think are true that are not, that hold them back. And guess what? Everybody goes through these. And you might, go through one or two of them. You might go through all 14 of them. They might all be you. They might not be you, whatever it is. But everyone's got something right now that's saying, you know what? I'm being held back or something. And you might know this consciously. It might be unconscious, whatever it is. So what I thought we'd do today in the episode is kind of break down 14 myths that I've seen over the years. I've seen these be busted through by students. I've seen these hold people back, then they're able to bust through them. So I thought that'd be kind of a cool thing to do here today on the podcast is go through these myths. Okay. And again, I've faced them all. I've seen them all, and we're going to battle through them. Okay. So myth number one, the technology is going to be hard or confusing. And I totally understand this one. This one goes way back because, when online courses first came out, when they first started in kind of the late 2000s or whatever you want to call that era, the late, 2006, 2007, things like that, the technology was hard and confusing. It was hard and confusing because it was such a new industry. You had to be like a tech expert to get into the world of online courses and, or you had to hire someone, right? And the good news is as the industry has continued to explode, and I've been saying this on some Facebook Lives lately, I've been giving some data about how it's just continued to explode and expected to continue to explode, is that as it's become more popular and more people have access to it, the technology has gotten so much easier that it's ridiculous. If you are technologically savvy enough to listen to this podcast, you are more than technologically savvy enough to create an online course. It is just knowing what tools to use and how to use them. And it's not complicated. It does not require coding or a web developer or a designer or anything like that. So by the way, though, with everything, of course, there's a little bit of a learning curve. When you know what technology to use, it's going to be an example of getting in there and learning how to do it and or passing it off to someone else. You can do one or the other, and that's totally fine. But most course creators start as solo creators. They start as solopreneurs. And you know what? It just comes down to knowing what to do and just following it, right? And that's something we teach inside of Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0 is we go through recommended tech tools, all those kinds of different things to make people's lives easier. But the bottom line here is technology should never, ever, ever be able to hold you back because it's just the world that we live in now. It's become so much easier. It's basically a no-brainer when it comes to technology, right? Now, myth number two is who am I to teach something I'm not an expert? So you might be thinking right now, this is the kind of imposter syndrome or other things that people think. They think, well, I can't teach something to anyone because I don't know any, or I don't know enough, or I'm not an expert. Let me share this with you, right? The best online courses, and we're talking about the ones that are the most successful, and most successful, I'll put into a few different categories here, both in revenue, right? And lifestyle and all that kind of stuff for the course creator, and also in impact. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the impact and the results that you help get your customers. That's what online courses are all about, is helping your customers get results, right? So in this expert plight, I can tell you this right now, here's where the top online courses come from. They come from one of these two places or both. Number one, it's something that you've done personally. So you've done personally. And we show you in Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0 exactly how to take what you've done and turn that into a step-by-step system. But here's the thing. What is something that you've done personally that you've gotten a result for? Is it that you've lost the weight? Is it that you've gotten the dream job? Is it that you are amazing at yoga and it's changed your whole life and you're able to teach that now to others? Or what have you done that you can teach others, right? Because that's really where expertise comes from. Expertise doesn't necessarily come from writing 50 books on the subject or meditating about the subject 50 hours a day. Expertise comes from doing, right? And the top courses come from people's personal experience of listen, I've done this, I created this, I did this, and now I'm going to show you how to do it. Right? That's number one. Number two is if you've already taught people in another way and they've paid for it, like a coach, a consultant, if you're anything like that, or in a service-based business, you are already considered an expert. So meaning if you're a coach and you teach people, how to hit a baseball farther, or you teach people decorate their homes on a budget or whatever it might be, if people pay for that service, that is definitely something that can be turned into an online course, whether it's taught online or offline, right? We actually had an online course recently launched about bull riding, right? You see all kinds of interesting things online when it comes to courses. If it's taught offline, it's taught online. And the best courses come from one of those two places or both. You don't have to have both. So it doesn't mean that you have to do it yourself and you've already taught others, but one or the other is the minimum requirements for that. So that's really where expertise comes from. And as you get your course out there, your expertise will continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. What you don't want to do, and this is very important, and this is not the BS. Sometimes people teach this BS out there. I'm going to put a smack down like The Rock here. We're going to drop the DSG elbow on this one, okay? Some people say, well, you just teach a course that you want to, and it doesn't matter if you have experience or expertise or anything in it, you just teach it, right? So let's say someone hasn't made $100,000 blogging, but they're going to teach how to create a $100,000 blog. They say, go ahead and do that. I say, F no. Heck no. Heck no. Your online course needs to come from your experience and or helping others, not just making things up. No theory, no fluff, no BS out there, because guess what? It ain't going to work, my friend. So that's where we look at it when it comes to expertise. And if you've done it or you've helped others, you are expert enough, my friend, okay? Myth number 3, and this one's just not true. This is just a straight up not true myth. I have to sell a lower price product first, because online courses are a premium product. And so by premium product, we mean that you attract premium customers that you could charge a premium price for compared to so many other things that you could sell online, like membership sites or ebooks or other stuff like that. Online courses command higher prices because they're so results focused. They're so value packed and results focused because you're going to actually help people accomplish something, right? And there's this random myth out there, I don't know where it came from, that you have to sell something cheap or something first before you sell an online course, and that's not true. And we've seen students all across the board. We've seen students that have something else that they sold, now they're selling an online course. We've seen people that have sold nothing before, but now they're selling an online course, right? So there's absolutely no data to back up that you have to sell a lower price product first. So let's just move past that one. Myth number 3. I like quick myths. Quick myths. Boom. All right. Myth number 4. There's already another course on my subject. Now, this is a big one too. You're saying, I'm going to do a fitness course. There's a million fitness courses out there, right? Well, here's the thing. If there's other courses on your subject, that's a good thing. That means there's a market out there. That means there's people spending money on it. But here's the thing. Nobody is you. And no one has your voice and your unique experience. And something that we help people inside of Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0 is really niche down as to who your course is really, really for. And a big way that you can stick out from the pack when it comes to crowded markets or anything like that is by getting more and more specific, because there's always room for new voices. My joke that I always say, or my analogy I always talk about, is it's like a bookstore. Imagine if the second person that was going to write a cookbook went into the bookstore and they said, oh my God, there's already a cookbook. I'm out of here. There's already a cookbook. The market's taken. I'm done. No, instead, there's been more cookbooks. Now you could go in there and probably find a cookbook on, vegan, meatless vegan recipes that look like meat for men over 40. Do you know what I mean? So it's getting more and more niche. And that's what we're seeing with online courses as well, as we see people that are getting more and more specific. And that's awesome. So meaning we don't see courses about general fitness, because that's ridiculous. Who's that for? But we'll see courses for, stay-at-home moms who just have minimal time and minimal equipment that are looking to, gain 5 pounds of muscle, 10 pounds of muscle. I mean, you're getting very specific with these types of things. And that's where it's all good that there's another course on your subject, because guess what? That course wasn't created by you, my friend. Myth number 5, nobody is going to buy it. And this might be the biggest myth. This could be the biggest myth. And that you worry that you're going to put this time and effort into something and it's not going to work and nobody's going to buy it. So let me assure you of a couple things here. First of all, I can make you 0 promises that someone's going to buy your course. I would love to tell you and guarantee it and put a stamp of approval on it and all that kind of stuff right now. But I got to tell you that I can't do it. Number 1, that's not realistic. Number 2, that I bet you a bunch of suits would come flying in the door right now saying, you can't say that, right? That people are guaranteed. But here's the thing, is that there's ways that you can mitigate this risk. And by the way, with any business, there is risk. With any business whatsoever, there's a risk that someone's not going to buy your product, your service, whatever it might be, right? But there's ways that you can mitigate this risk and make it as small as humanly possible, right? That nobody's going to buy at risk. Number one is that you have to think about this, is that you need to follow a system on how to create customers for your course, potential customers, and how to launch your course properly. If you don't have a system for doing that, and that's exactly what we teach inside of Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0, is exactly how to do all this kind of stuff, right? Is building an audience and building the proper customers and then learning how to build the relationship, learning how to launch. And also, by the way, launching doesn't just mean launching. Launching also is a long-term strategy after launching, and also how to package everything, because packaging is very important as well. Packaging or your offer. How do you price it? How do you create guarantees, and how do you make it where it's a lucrative offer for people to buy as well, along with how do we launch our online course, right? All these things. So by following a system on how to do this, and then a system that's as unique as you, where you can infuse your personality and your situation into it, that's going to mitigate this risk by a massive percentage. Okay. So that's one of the things, is being able to follow a system and being able to understand, like, okay, these are how all the pieces go together, is going to end up mitigating your risk for this as well. Okay. So that's very, very important. And that's just, I hope you, if you're not already a student of Create Awesome Online Courses, I hope you join Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0 and follow our system. But regardless, the point is, you don't want to attack this on your own, because then you're just guessing and then you're just hoping that someone's going to buy it. There's actually proven strategies that you want to implement to be able to build that customer base and also the potential customer base, and be able to launch it properly. And that's going to mitigate the risk there. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing is something that we teach as well, and this is something I've kind of changed views on over the years, is there's actually two ways that you can get your course out there. There's two ways. Now, we teach 4 launch strategies inside of Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0, but there's 2 ways that you could do your launch. And one way is that you pre-record your course, and this is what I enjoy doing. This is my favorite way of doing it, is you pre-record your course, right? So that means you record it first, then you sell it. All right? That's option 1. But let's just say you're a little more risk adverse, you're a little more concerned, you're a little more worried about it. Well, option 2 is that you sell it first, then you create it, right? And so that's what we call the pre-sell option. So you actually you build a customer base, a potential customer base, then you launch your course using one of the 4 launch methods that we go through. And then you get enough interest, you get buyers, then you create it, okay? The key with that, by the way, if you decide to do that method, is you have to be very, very upfront with people that that's what you're doing. You're saying, listen, the course is not created yet. We're going to create this together. You're going to get some extra help. And we show all this inside of the program, but I'm just mentioning the kind of the Cliffs Notes version now, is that if you're on the more risky side and you're super worried about it, and you don't want to do all that, boom. There you go. That's another method that you could do to mitigate your risk. So nobody's going to buy it. We can never ensure that 100%, but we can get that percentage down very, very, very low. Okay? Now, myth number 6, this is going to take too much time or be confusing. And that's very much true, again, if you don't follow a system and you don't get help with this and you don't get support with this as well, right? Because if you don't have someone to bounce questions off of, if you don't have a system to follow, if you're not sure what you're doing and you're just Googling random things and YouTubing random things and searching here and searching there and hoping and praying, you're going to end up what I call a Franken course. You don't want a Franken course, because you've created something from all over the place. You're going to confuse yourself. You're going to hear contradictory information, and that's not good. And so I like to have it all in one place, and also having support, because support is very, very important. And that's something that we really strive to do in my business, is that all our students have full access to our support team and also the private Facebook group to ask questions anytime. We've literally answered thousands and thousands of questions going all the way back to 2013. So if you're going to think it's going to take too much time or be confusing, realize that when you have a blueprint laid out, then it's just up to you to put in the work and the effort, and you get to reap the rewards. And more than any other business model, what I love about online courses is that you get to put this upfront work in, but get paid for years and years and years, because you're taking your brain and you're taking experience, and you're taking your expertise and you're turning it into a product. And that's pretty darn cool. Myth number 7, my course has to be perfect. Oh, my perfectionists, God bless you. We're all, a lot of us are in this boat, and I get it. I understand it. And What's interesting is you might not know this, but good friend of the show and a good friend of mine is also a Create Awesome Online Courses student is Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn from smartpassiveincome.com. Now, Pat has now had now he's coming up on 3 or 4 very, very successful courses, and he held off for years creating courses. And Pat and I have done some things together where we've talked about this, and he was so nervous about being perfect. He was so nervous about being perfect. And let me tell you how he got the advice that I gave him to finally get over it, and some advice I could give you on this as well. First of all, you have to accept the fact that it's never, ever going to be perfect, and that's okay. Because guess what? A course is very much a human thing, and it's something that you can update and change if you need to. A course is a living, breathing thing, right? So meaning it's not like this coffee mug that I have right here, that if I have a misprint on this coffee mug, I'd have to send 10,000 coffee mugs back and redo them all. An online course, if there's a mistake or a challenge or something in the future, once it's out there and you don't like the way something's said or done, you can always change it, right? But you can't help people. You can't build your business, and you can't make that big impact unless you're going to get your course out there, right? Get it out there. So it's not about perfection, and it's also not about just guessing and throwing it out there. It's about following the system, but then you want to launch it and not being worried about that shadow over your right shoulder or that small, tiny typo, because all that stuff can be changed. And you have to be thinking about getting that ball rolling off the hill. And by the way, if there are mistakes or little problems or whatever it is, you got to understand people will appreciate your humanity. It's not going to ruin your business. It's not going to ruin you or anything like that. You can't worry about it. And what has to happen here is your fear of perfection has to be outweighed by the strong why you want to create a successful online course. So your strong why has to be the most important thing, why you want to do this, and that will outweigh the perfection. All right? Now, myth number 8, and this is a little bit different than perfection, is there's a perfect time to launch. A perfect situation, a perfect life situation, perfect day of the week, perfect time of the year. Well, here's the thing. There's always holidays. There's always distractions. There's always busyness in your wife. That was a Freudian slip right there. You like that? There's busyness in your wife. There's busyness in your life, my friend. My wife would laugh at that one, my friend. I got to say that right now. So is there a perfect time to launch? Absolutely not. As long as you end up having kind of what I call the minimum criteria to launch, right? The minimum criteria to launch. There's no perfect time. Now, one of the key criteria to launch is that you want a minimum of 1,000 perfect people on your email list that you've started to build a relationship with. Okay. Now, if you're sitting here today and you're thinking, oh my God, I have 0, or I haven't even started an email list, or it's just me and my cat and my mom and my dad and my husband and whatever it is, don't worry about that. Okay. I'll give you obviously resources here in a second for this, but the thing is you want a minimum of 1,000 people that you've built on your email list, and then you want to basically bring them through the launch. That's what the perfect time is to launch. When you have those ready to go, you are ready to roll with your launch. Now, if you don't have those people yet, that's totally fine. That's where most people start. Most people start with 0. We show you how to do this exactly inside of Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0. We show you exactly how to build your email list. We show you numerous traffic strategies that work for every situation, every budget, and also how to figure out which traffic strategies, 1 or 2, works best for you, and how to attract that perfect customer and bring them in. And once you have that, and once you follow that system, the perfect time to launch is the day that you launch, my friend. That is the perfect day to launch. All right? Myth number 9, to create my first course, it's going to be really expensive. So I'm talking about technology costs, software costs, all those types of business costs. And let me tell you that online courses, when it comes to a product-based business, because you're creating a product, right? A course is more than a course. It's a product, right? It's a product. And compared to any other product-based business out there, I got to tell you, courses are by far the least inexpensive, or I'm sorry, the most inexpensive, not the least, the most inexpensive with the highest upside. Because we don't have to have products. We don't have to have warehouses. We don't have to be shipping things to people. There's none of that at all. We are taking your brain and turning it into a digital program, right? And the opposite of this is, which has extremely low costs, or not the opposite, but kind of on the same wavelength, would be coaching and consulting. But guess what? Those are dollars for hours, and there's going to be a maximum amount of people that you can coach and consult with. Online courses, limitless, right? So we ran math of an example setup that we teach, okay? And this is an example setup for this includes website and videos and all that kind of stuff. And this doesn't include things like a microphone and your computer, but those are things that are a little bit separate, right? But after that, $115.95 a month. We did an example setup, $115.95 a month. And the upside versus that minimal investment on technology costs, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, we've got people making, it's insane. I mean, 6-7 figures with online courses and beyond that, right? To think that you could start for that minimal of technology and software costs. I mean, this is not thousands of dollars. This isn't buying into some kind of business for $100,000 or something like that. We're talking about $115.95 a month in software-ish and technology costs. I mean, come on now, right? Now, a few more myths left. Myth number 10, I have to have a huge email list. And I kind of just dispelled that myth a few myths ago. But people think, I have to be some Uber celebrity. I have to have 100,000 people. I have to have 50,000 people. I have to have 10,000 people on your email list. And while it's true in this case that bigger with the right people, keyword right people, is better, that minimal number is 1,000 to launch your online course. And I've got no doubt with the right training and the right support that every single person listening to this podcast can build a minimum of 1,000 people that would be very, very interested in your online course. So get that out of your head that you could do this. And we show you how to do this exactly how to do it step by step inside of Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0. But don't think that you have to have some massive, huge email list to have a successful online course. However, an email list is vital and very, very important. And it's the number one conversion tool that you will have for your online course. But for it to have to be super big and all that kind of stuff, nope, not true, my friend. Now, myth number 11, we just have a few left. The only courses that make money teach people to make money. Oh, and this is a big one. And this is probably true because you see this a lot. If you're searching for online courses or business or whatever it is, you might see like all these examples of courses that teach people how to make money. And by the way, that's great. We've got plenty of students that teach people how to improve business or marketing or things like that as well. I mean, we've got many, many students that do that. But guess what? The bulk of courses do not. The bulk of courses have nothing to do with making money at all. I mean, that's great if that's your course. That's awesome. And there's a lot of courses that do that, but that's not the bulk of courses. The bulk of courses have nothing to do with teaching people to make money. I mean, for example, I could go through literally thousands of examples here. I mean, Tamiko Kelly, one of our extremely successful Create Awesome Online Courses students, and also now a course coach as well with us. She teaches babies how to sleep. Has nothing to do with making money. That's what she does. That's her entire course is about baby sleep training. Or how about Rachel Bowman? She's been mentioned on the show before. She's been on the show. She teaches aerialists. So we're talking about aerial silks up in the sky, doing backflips and front flips and twists and turns. She teaches advanced aerial silks online courses and is making 6 figures plus with that. Nothing to do with money, right? Shane Olson, he's a former video game developer and designer at Disney who wanted to pursue his passion of being his own boss and having control over his own schedule in his life. He created the 3D character workshop, helping people create 3D video game characters. And he's done over $500K in less than 2 years with that online course. And it continues to grow and grow and grow. He's now quit Disney. He's his own boss and he's on he's on an amazing trajectory on this as well. By the way, a link, if you want to see more success stories like this, go to createawesomeonlinecourses.com/results, as we've got literally tons and tons of stories like that. But don't think that, and these people are not the exception. These people are not the exception. Just don't think that, hey, I have to have a course about making money or something like that. Because yes, that's a great topic, but that's just one of many, many topics. Myth number 12, I have to have a big team staff to be successful. And that's not true at all. And I got to tell you right now, we're very close to crossing over 10 million online course sales in my business. And do we have a big staff? We actually have 3 full-time employees now, okay? But I have to tell you this, for years, we had none. And a lot of successful students start with just themselves or maybe a virtual assistant, and you could scale up from there. You don't need to have a team at all to be successful at this. Over time, will you want to grow and hire a couple people, potentially either as contractors or as employees? And by the way, we teach people how to do this as well inside of COC 2.0. Sure. But do you have to do this to be successful? Absolutely not. You could be getting up to very high revenue solo and maybe a virtual assistant or 1 or 2 things. You don't need some kind of massive staff or a big, I'm picturing like Wolf of Wall Street where you've got all the people on the phones and things like that. Absolutely not. You do not need to to have it to be successful. You have a team already for whatever reason in your business. That's great. You can leverage them, but that is not a requirement whatsoever. And myth number 13, we have just 2 left, and this is a big one. And this goes back to what I was talking about earlier on about that kind of internet BS that's out there. And this is, I need to have a multi-million-dollar launch to be successful, or even a $100,000 launch or a $50,000 launch to be successful. And the thing is that these have been polluting the internet airwaves for years. People saying, bragging about, how big this launch was and that launch was, right? It's so easy, you could do it too, right? But here's the thing. I want to change your attitude and your thought process and your mindset when it comes to launching your online course. The entire purpose of launching your online course is to get your first customers in, help them get amazing results. That's what it is. It's getting the ball rolling off the hill. And that might be 10 customers. It might be 25 customers. It might be 5 customers. It might be 500 customers. Everybody's a little bit different when it comes to this, okay? But the thing is that this is all about building a long-term business. It's not just about this first launch, then we ride off into the sunset or whatever it is. The launch is just the starting point. A big thing we talk about all the time in Create Awesome Online Courses is creating your own data. You create your own data and then you compare it to yourself. You don't compare to Joe's launch and Sally's launch and Josie's launch and Timmy's launch, okay? You create your own launch and build from there. Great example here is someone that is a great friend of the show. She's been on before. You've probably seen her if you followed me at all for a while. She's one of our best success stories, Renee Christine. Now, when Renee launched her course the very first time, all right, and Renee, by the way, backstory on her, that she had a successful handmade business that she sold. And then a few years later, ran into some difficulties. She went through a really messy divorce. She was having some money issues. Some things happened, and she was trying to kind of rebuild herself and build a successful online business, and was really struggling. Everything she tried wasn't working. She ended up enrolling in Create Awesome Online Courses, and she created her business teaching other handmade businesses to be successful because she killed it with her handmade business. Unfortunately, she just was running into trouble because of legal difficulties and different things like that, right? So she wanted to create this very successful business. She was a single mom of 3 at the time, and she launched her first online course about handmade businesses, and she made $3,000 with that first launch. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, $3,000, that's amazing. I'm doing backflips. I'm super excited. Or you might be thinking, $3,000, that's it? Boy, I'd expect to do more. Let me tell you about what Renee's attitude was, and it was the right attitude. Renee was ecstatic. She was so excited that people were purchasing. She was very confident now. She was thinking, oh my God, I've got actual customers coming in. They're purchasing my knowledge. I'm going to help them. This is going to be amazing. She sent me the now famous crying girl video where she was literally bawling in the video. She was taking her kids to Disney for a treat, and she knew this was the beginning of something new. And what happened from there? Well, she kept building. She kept getting better. She realized this was a long-term business where there was 10 customers, there was 20. Where there was 20, there was 100. And then guess what? She went from that $3,000 launch, and then I think it was about a $52,000 launch. Then she started doing, and she built to $115,000. Then it went on and on and on. And over between 2015 and then through the end of 2018, right? She built now to 1.1 million per year. And it's going to be even higher this year. We're going to be closer to 2 million with Renee Christine this year. And why? Because she had the right attitude. The launch was the launch. The launch is great. It's important. It's the first customers. But then it's what do you do from there? And that's something that we teach. How do you scale up with different marketing and promotion and taking amazing care of customers? And where do you go from there? And Renee built and built and built and built. And now she's, like I said, well over $1 million per year in revenue for online business. Her life has completely changed. She's actually remarried to an amazing guy named Tom, who I've had a chance to meet, which is awesome. They've now built their dream house in Connecticut, and their lives are forever changed. And imagine if Renee had sat back and said, $3,000, woe is me, sad, 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 this isn't successful, whatever it might be. No, instead, she had that right attitude, and she was able to absolutely continue to build on that. And one of the coolest things that I've ever seen is Renee sent this to me a few weeks ago. She now has her own crying girl video. And by the way, crying girl is her term that she uses, not my term, crying girl. That's her term, where a woman sent her a video crying because now she's gotten amazing results from Renee's course. And it's amazing how that knowledge has been passed down. And it makes me feel awesome as a course creator. And you know, that's the feeling I want you to have in the future as well. And finally, myth number 14, I want to do a course, but I don't know what to do, what to include, how to launch, how to scale it, all those different things. And again, this is why we created Create Awesome Online Courses, and this is why we went in and completely redid it, updated it, and supersized it with Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0. And if you're watching right now, watching, nothing to watch, you're listening right now, I highly, highly encourage you to go to createawesomeonlinecourses.com. You'll be able to find all the different buttons there, the enrollment button. You'll be able to watch a presentation, see a demo, see success stories. But I highly, highly, highly encourage you to join up on the program. We actually have a risk-free offer on this program with a full money-back guarantee, no questions asked for 30 days. So you could try it out, test drive it, give it a shot because we stand behind this program and we know that it works. So you could test drive it absolutely on us, and then guess what? Hey, not for you. It's all good, right? So we've got a risk-free offer to join, and you'll also be able to lock in Create Awesome Online Courses 1.0 pricing for Create Awesome Online Courses 2.0 for a limited time. More details on that, again, at createawesomeonlinecourses.com. You can find all that good jazz. And we even have a pay in full bonus and a payment plan. And the pay in full bonus is super, super cool. If you pay in full for the program, you get a 45-minute strategy call with one of our amazing course coaches, which are successful Create Awesome Online Courses students that also do course coaching now for us and help us out. And you'll get a strategy call with them to make sure that you're on the right track with all that kind of delicious goodness when it comes to creating your own successful online course. All right, that's it, my friends. I will see you next time here on the Rise to Top podcast. If you haven't subscribed up, go to therisetop.com/subscribe. I will see you next week. And remember, if you want some fluff, you know what to do. Go pet a bunny.